Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Going Rounds podcast. I sure hope everything is working because I just had the bullshit happen again. One of these days, I'm going to get this down to the point where I do not have issues. I don't know what's going on. Uh, I'm hoping that I'm hoping that everything's okay. So, yeah, I can't even check right now. I am going to check though. Okay, cool. I see that I'm up. If you're in the chat, hit me up and make sure that you can hear me, I guess. I had my wife texting me a minute ago and I was like, please let me work this out because I was having problems. And I'm hoping that you can hear me. I'll find out in just a second. Looks good and sounds good. Thank you. Oh my gosh. I don't know what happened. I'm gonna have to work this out with the guys on the Rumble because something happened and I don't know. I guess maybe I lost settings somewhere. I'm not sure. But listen, this is the shit that happens all the time. I'm a one-man show here. that's all there is to it. I have to take care of everything and I'm not perfect and I was having issues. I was behind. What else is new? I mean, what the fuck? This is what happens. It is what it is. I'm here. It says, oh, it's right there. I was like 5 minutes late. Whatever. And I started the stream like 3 or 4 times. So now I'm gonna have to go back to YouTube and delete those. I was on camera probably looking pissed off for a minute too. No sound. But it's all good. I'm back. Here we go. Episode 70. Welcome back to the Going Rounds podcast, where sometimes it's a shit show. But I'm going to laugh about it. I'm going to take a drink and we're going to move on and we're going to get on with the show because I'm grateful that I figured something out and was able to get it working. I think there's a difference when I had stuff going for the multiple mics, but I had it working Sunday and Tuesday for the Rumble podcast. So I don't know what happened. I got some things to figure out. I'm going to sort it out. I have to force myself to take the time to do it. I've just been short on time lately, so whatever. Nobody cares. I barely care because I can't think about it right now. It's gonna drive me nuts. So here we are, back on a Thursday, episode 70. We got a decent amount of stuff to talk about because obviously we have the recap of UFC 295 that happened this past weekend. Lots of great fights. I mean, every fight on the main card was a finish. So, yeah, that was fun. And then we had the Watch Party podcast, and I had my boy Josh in here, who it was his first time on. Motherfucker was like a natural. Like, I'm like, how come you didn't show any interest in being on before? I asked him to come on because he was like, hey, what are you doing? You gonna watch the fights? I didn't invite a bunch of people over. No one seemed to. Usually, if it's a big fight weekend and people want to come over, they'll ask me about it. So I don't send the invites out like I used to back in the day because a lot of people are busy and they got kids and blah blah blah. So I just tell a select few people and I'm like, hey, if you want to come over watch the fights, let's do it. If not, I'm trying to do a podcast. So, or I'm just enjoying it by myself. Sometimes that happens too. Me and my wife just sitting on the couch. She's listening to me yell, scream at the TV. That's about it. But yeah. So Josh is like a natural. I don't know what the fuck. I mean, he is a talker. If you engage him in conversation, he's gonna engage in that conversation. So I should have known that he would be good. Patrick's the same way. Patrick has a lot of knowledge and he follows things, so he's engaged in the conversation about MMA as well. Clark jumps in here and keeps it going, and we talk a lot of shit and have some fun and laugh. And Josh is the same way. He'll just make some. Oh, great! Now my camera's flashing out. That's cool. I got to fix that problem too. I know I've been talking about that for a while, but I just cannot find the cause of it. But whatever. Anyway, happy that Josh came on. Clark was in. Tommy was in. It was a good watch party. I had fun. I had a good time, and it was good fights, and they went fast, so it wasn't some long drawn out boring time. when somebody comes on for the first time during a watch party, it sucks. If those are like those real boring, long, drawn out fights, it's horrible. Or like when you uh invite somebody over to watch the fights with you, and you're like, I promise you, it's usually better than this, and they're just like the worst fights ever. But not this week. So we had that. Game Bread Bare Knuckle MMA was on. Um, that seemed pretty good. It was free on YouTube, but I kind of forgot about it. I had a lot of shit going on. My pops, my poor pops, his man, his neighbor had a fire in their place. It affected his place. Now he's out of there and having to, work things out and deal with all that. Luckily, I have a spot for him to stay, so he's hanging out here at the house with us. And I'm, grateful that he's okay and nothing bad happened. He helped some people out, so that was good. But I'm just glad nothing bad happened. So, any of my frustrations and shit is nothing compared to what he has to deal with right now. He doesn't have his normal place to go and be relax and be comfortable. So I feel bad for him. He's got to deal with my crazy ass. So I'm grateful for that, and no matter what kind of stupid little bad things happen to me, it's nothing compared to that. So hopefully he gets everything sorted out soon and works things out. But so things have been a little nutty, and it's just like last watch party. I don't know what's happening. Watch parties cannot be cursed, but every time I have a watch party lately, something crazy is happening. Like my dog last time was all sick, and I was worried about her and not sure what was going to happen. So maybe next one will be better. December, I don't know if we're going to have a watch party or not yet, but it's going to be a great card. And hopefully, if we do have the watch party for then, it's not revolved around some craziness happening in my regular life. So anyway, let's get to some of this combat sports news, because there's a lot to talk about in news. It hasn't been that way for the past few weeks. There's been a couple things here and there to talk about, but it's mostly about whatever events are going on. But this time we actually have stuff to talk about. So let's see. Huh. That's odd. Okay. There's a new thing in OBS that lets you see like stuff that's happening with your YouTube channel. And oddly enough, there's some kind of weird warning, but I'm not dealing with any of that right now, because with my luck, my stream will crash, and then I don't want to do all that. So we'll go ahead and ignore that for now. Let's get into some combat sports news. I'm going to forget about all of my technical issues right now and hope that there's no more. So let's get going. Damn it, I did it again. I didn't check my other scene. So I just went for however many minutes, and nobody was listening to me. I mean, nobody could hear me because I didn't change my mic over. Oh man, I hate today. You know what though? I'm gonna keep it going. I don't know. Today sucks. I don't get it. I know exactly what happened, and I appreciate my wife for telling me. She texted me and said, I guess she wasn't listening until just a minute ago, but apparently my mic wasn't working throughout the whole time I was talking about Game Bread MMA and all that. But at this point, I don't even fucking care. I'm just having problems. I'm gonna keep going just so I can. Oh, man, this like makes everything not worth it to me now. This is what happened before. I have to work out all this shit so I can stop doing this, because this is like deterring me from wanting to even continue. Honestly, I get this whole new setup, and there's always bugs to be worked out, but the problem is I have to have the time to work these bugs out, and it's either work myself every second of the day and never chill, or just hope I have everything working. The problem is I had everything working. And I don't know why it reverted back. It's just issues, and I usually test beforehand, but again, I was running behind today. I was getting everything ready, and I hate myself. Oh well. As I was saying, Logan Paul is saying that he's retired from boxing. I don't know. I hate that everything I was saying wasn't being recorded. And I feel like this is pointless to keep going, but I'm gonna keep going, I think. Roll with the punches sometimes, right? So anyway, what I was saying was Logan Paul says he thinks he says he's retired from boxing. I never know. You never know what's actually true with him. He's in the wrestling industry now. You never know. And he's talking about being 25-0, undefeated. From what though? If he's talking about boxing, he's definitely not undefeated. Ooh, man, I hate myself. I told myself to check the other one too, and I didn't. But anyway, I'm still mad about my mic. Oh God. So anyway, Logan Paul, I feel like he's better in the WWE. He's a US champion now. And he's doing some crazy stuff as far as high flying stunts and all that. And this is what I was saying a minute ago. Oh God, I can't even remember what I was saying. As far as like being compared to other combat sports, wrestling is obviously, we all know, fake, scripted, whatever you want to call it, but the athletic stuff that they go through is real. So and he's an athletic guy. He seems like a natural when it comes to wrestling, professional wrestling, WWE and all that. So I feel like he should stick to that. He's a champ now. He's doing well, and he hasn't been doing it for a long time. So leave the boxing to your brother who's trying to work his way up the ranks. That's what I was talking about before. And hopefully Jake will actually go somewhere with the boxing. It seems like that's what he's interested in. I feel like Logan should stick with the wrestling. He's become a star there, and he should keep doing that. Stick to that. Don't worry about the boxing. Let's just move on. I'm gonna try to keep going so that this isn't a complete waste. I'm gonna have to edit videos now though. That sucks. Moving on. Speaking of retirements, Dylan Dennis, who we never know is truly doing what he's supposed to be doing, or is truly doing what he's talking about doing, is now saying that he's done with fighting and he's retired. As of before I started this mess that I'm doing of a podcast, I still hadn't seen anything different. He retweeted something from Conor McGregor answering questions, saying that he hopes that he can get to the UFC and keep it rolling, and that he's proud of him. But he still hasn't said, oh, I was just fucking with you guys, or he hasn't said anything. So as of right now, the only thing you can know is Dylan Dennis says he's retired, but is he really retired? We won't know until things pan out. You never know with Dylan. He says one thing and then goes to another. So as far as Conor though, there's controversy with Conor too, because like I said, he was answering questions on X, formerly known as Twitter, and he was answering questions just to a bunch of random people, and someone asked, has the UFC told you why they keep pushing the date for your fight back? Because from the outside looking in, it makes no sense to let their biggest star stay inactive this long. He said, I am confident we get the set date. There's no one holding no one back. A lot goes on behind the scenes, but all involved are working hard to make it happen. And the last thing I heard was, he also said to somebody that asked, are you in or out for UFC 300? And he said in. But that's just him saying things, that's just the way it rolls. That's how it goes. Yeah, everyone's just waiting to see if they're gonna announce it. It seemed like they announced that he was fighting Michael Chandler at UFC 300, but then everyone was in limbo and wondering what was actually happening. So who knows? It's just a toss-up. And the thing is the date keeps getting pushed back. I know he had a really bad injury, but he's been saying for months now that he's good to go. We're waiting on the USADA thing that finally got squared away, and yet there's still no confirmation on any of it. So is Conor gonna fight again? When's he gonna fight again? We have the main events for January, February, and March, and UFC 300 should be in April. But the last I heard was it's possible. According to his coach, it seems like it might have been pushed to July, which would be International Fight Week. That's a big card. And with them putting on the big cards that they have set for January, February, or March, and then having 300, they're going to use up a lot of star power. So maybe they do hold back on Conor and utilize him for International Fight Week so that they can continue with the massive fight cards that they have for that weekend. So you never know. But this is just what's happening with all of this. It's been what's been going around. Conor's just left and right saying this, that, and the other thing. It's confusing and no one really knows. So hopefully we'll get some news on that soon. Let's move on to Francis Ngannou being ranked number 10 by the WBC, which that's surprising as hell to me. I mean, obviously Tyson Fury's the champ. He's at the top of that bill, but Deontay Wilder's ranked number 1 right behind him. You got Anthony Joshua in there. Let's see. I can't remember, but there's a lot of big names in that top 10. And now you have Francis Ngannou being ranked up there with him. You got Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, Joseph Parker. I mean, I don't know some of these other guys, but at the top, Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua. And then right there at number 10 at the bottom is now Francis Ngannou. Now, that might be because, it sounds like maybe the pay-per-view kind of flopped. And, that's a lot of the talk going around right now. But when it comes down to it, he did such a great job, and Saudi Arabia kind of was impressed by him and saying that they wanted to get him another fight right away. So maybe this is their way of if the pay-per-view flopped and he lost, no matter how good he did, maybe people are just not that interested and want to see it. So maybe this is their way of putting a little more interest back in it to see if they can gain momentum with it and make some more money off it. Who knows? In the end, though, he is ranked 10th by the WBC. I believe their statement also said something like, Francis did an outstanding job against the WBC heavyweight champion, and the WBC Board of Governors has agreed to rank him as number 10 in the heavyweight division. So, I mean, it's legit. I wasn't sure at first. So it was kind of, I kind of didn't really want to believe it, because initially they said he was ranked like 542nd or some shit. Now he's ranked 10th in the WBC, which is pretty impressive. So good on Ngannou. Last part of Combat Sports News here to lead into the UFC 295 recap. UFC celebrating the 30 years of the UFC. I guess this past weekend was actually like the actual anniversary, which made it the 30 years. And, you know, they released some good, there was some good artwork going around about it. This is one of my favorites, just showing a bunch of the previous champs. You got everyone from BJ Penn, Conor, Randy Couture, Khabib, Max Holloway, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Leon Edwards, GSP. You could see who they made the biggest here. You know, you got Conor on top and along with Couture. You got GSP in the middle, Chuck Liddell up front. And then you got, you know, Anderson and John Jones. You got Ronda Rousey in there, Amanda Nunes. You know, everybody's there from the past 30 years, the big names, the big champs. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And they did all that, but I mean, they didn't do a whole lot when it comes to you know, showing things like real apparently during the broadcast on Saturday. It was kind of weird because you would have thought it would have been right up there in the forefront. And, you know, like Hoist Gracie was there and stuff like that. And I don't recall ever even seeing him. So it was kind of weird. But anyway, the official 30th birthday of the UFC just passed. And that moves us right into UFC 295 recap. My mic is working. I'm looking at it. I keep making sure. I haven't changed scenes. That's what the problem was. But yeah, whatever. Trying to forget it. So yeah, UFC 295. Lots of finishes, like I said, in the main event, main card, everything. There was finishes throughout the entire night. And the main card was all finishes, so that was pretty exciting. Let's see. Down in the lower portion. Whoa, what is happening? Oh, weird. Okay. Now I have pop-ups happening. Dude, today's not my day. I don't get it. I just lost everything on my screen, so that's cool. Wow. All right. Man, I'm struggling. I'm gonna keep fighting through this, but a couple more things happen. I might just have to call it a night and say forget all of this shit, because I don't know what's happening. It's so ridiculous. I mean, it looks like it hasn't affected the stream at the moment, but I just had some weird shit happen on my browser over here. But anyway, let's move on and stop talking about my stupid technical difficulties here. But I have to deal with them and I have to work them out so I can make sure things keep going. So let's just keep going here. Yeah, so at the very bottom, I was interested in this fight. Jamal Emmers versus Dennis Bazooka. You know, I talked about it before. It's because Dennis Bazooka is part of the Matt Serra Ray Longo team. And, you know, I hear about him a lot. So, you know, I was kind of interested. I heard some interviews with him and stuff. And, yeah, this did not go his way. He did not have a good night. That whole team didn't really have a good night. Jamal Emmers gets a TKO win 49 seconds into the first round of 49 seconds into the first round of the first fight of the night. And so that starts the event off with a bang, which is great. But yeah, it was not a good night for Bazooka, but Jamal Emmers looked pretty impressive. It was a fun 49 seconds, you know, just for the fight itself. So let's see, going into, there was a couple other decisions lower in the card, but we had Jared Gordon versus Marco Madsen. Oh man, this is annoying me. Um, Jared Gordon versus Marco Madsen. And Jared Gordon had a good night here. He got the TKO by elbow and punches in the first 4 minutes and 42 seconds into the first round. But yeah, Jared Gordon looked good. Lots of kicks, just dominating with the strikes. And yeah, gets that TKO finish to win. Let's see. I want to see what. Oh yeah, he was coming off the no contest for Bobby Green because of the accidental clash of heads. But, you know, he lost to Paddy Pimblett. A lot of people thought that he won that one. So, you know, he was coming off a couple of hardships here. A loss that no one believed should have been a loss. And then the no contest that with the accidental headbutt. So he goes ahead and gets back in that win column with a big win over Marco Madsen, who's a good opponent. And, you know, Mark was on coming off one loss, but before that he was on quite the win streak. But that's bad luck. So that's 2 in a row for him in the past year or so. So he's got some work to do to get back in that win column, and because you don't want to get those three losses in a row for sure. So see if I can get this stuff to stop happening here. I don't know what's going on. There we go. Okay, then let's see. We had a majority draw between Nazim Sadikov and Vyacheslav Borshev. That guy's name is hard to say, but Nazim is another one of Sarah Longo team, and they were high on this guy Nas, but this was a majority draw, so this was kind of a back and forth even fight. Obviously that's why they called it a draw, but both these guys were coming off wins, I believe. Slava Claus was Borshev's nickname. He comes from Team Alpha Male with Uriah Faber. That's Uriah Faber's team. So these are a couple big teams going head to head here. Nazim was on a pretty good win streak. He was undefeated in the UFC, and now he has that one draw. So I mean, technically he's still undefeated, but yeah, majority draw on that one. And yeah, that was a nasty kick. It was a pretty bloody fight because Slava wound up with a cut, I believe, on his eyebrow or something. And I mean, this one, I mean, it was an exciting fight. I think they got fight of the night even with that draw. So that's how you know, is for it to be a draw and to be that bloody and to get the fight of the night. It was a good one. So moving on to the first fight of the main card, we had Diego Lopez versus Pat Sabatini. I kind of thought this one was going to be a little more drawn out than this, but Lopez winds up with the KO win by punches in the first round. 1 minute 30 seconds. A lot of these fights were very fast. I think there was only one fight that went into the second round in the main card. Oof, this is annoying the shit out of me. They keep getting pop-ups and I don't know why. I'm using the same damn site I always use. Anyway, yeah, so Diego Lopez makes a quick night of Pat Sabatini, KO by punches in the first round. Nice little walk-off here. Pretty cool picture, I thought. And that makes 2 in a row for Diego Lopez. So he's 2-1 now in the UFC. And Pat Sabatini is, I mean, he's a good opponent. He's a good fighter. He was coming off a win, but you know, he's kind of one of these off and on guys. So we'll see what he has coming up next. Moving on to Benoit Saint Denis versus Matt Frevola. Yet another Sarah Longo fighter and yet another loss. So that's why I say, oh man, oof, something's tickling my nose. Again, that's why I say these guys had a tough night. Matt Frevola I was sure was going to come out with a big win here, because that's kind of how his past fights have gone. First round finishes for everything. Yeah, I mean, if you look at his record, I mean, everything ends in the first round, whether he wins or loses. At least since like 2021, which is crazy. But unfortunately on this one, he did not get the win. He got KO'd by Benoit Saint Denis. God of War. He's 13-1, and right now he's on a 5 fight win streak in the UFC. So yeah, this one again, a minute 31 into the first round. These were just KO after KO after KO, which makes for an exciting night of fights. And you know, when you have two oh, I'm sorry, there was 2 fights. That's right, because the main event went into the second round as well. But when you have 2 title fights, you're thinking at least one of them's gonna go all 5 rounds. Not this night. Even the women finished in the second round pretty quick. This was Jessica Andrade versus Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie Dern was having a night like I'm having tonight. Pretty shitty. But except she got her ass kicked in the process of having that shitty night, because that's what they were doing, was fighting. And her striking was not looking good at all. Her stand-up game was not there, especially against a high-level striker like Jessica Andrade. So it was pretty unfortunate. Yeah, she just got dominated on the feet. She tried to take it to the ground, but Andrade didn't want anything to do with it. Even when they went down there, yeah, I mean, it wound up back on the feet pretty quick. There's even a point where Andrade just kind of told her to stand up, because she was like, nah, I'm beating your ass on the feet. I'm going to keep doing that. And Mackenzie Dern's a high-level jiu-jitsu player, so she doesn't want to really be on the ground with her. And that makes sense. If you're beating her on her feet, that's what you're supposed to do. Andrade was on, I believe, a 2-fight losing streak. No, she was on a 3-fight losing streak, but against really big names. So she needed this win, and she came out there with a vengeance and got that win for sure. I mean, at one point, I was kind of like, I really hope Dern doesn't get knocked out cold, because she was just taking punches left and right, and her defense wasn't there. She couldn't put together an offense. It just wasn't working for her on the feet, and she couldn't get it to the ground. I think she needs to work on her wrestling. She needs to learn how to get those offensive takedowns, and not just, you know, be good when the fight just happens to get to the ground. She needs to force that fight on the ground. What she really needs to work on is her striking, but that one's tough. So if at least she becomes one of these like Khabib type fighters, where she can get it to the ground, have some decent ground and pound, but you know, if you get the fight to where you're the best at, then you have a better chance. So she needs to work on that defense and get the fight to the ground. So yeah, that's Mackenzie Dern unfortunately gets that loss, second round. And yeah, that makes for, she's on a streak of win loss. So I think that's kind of what I was talking about last week in the lead up to this, was, you know, if she keeps on this kind of level or streak that she's on, she's due for a loss. So, and that's what happened. So hopefully that means next fight she gets a win, and she's got to start stringing together some wins so she can progress in the division. But that brings us to the co-main event. Tom Aspinall versus Sergey Pavlovich. This was another fast fight. Again, these two guys like average 2 minutes or less basically in every one of their fights. It's so crazy. And I thought maybe this would be one of those ones where they kind of neutralize each other, and the fight maybe goes on a little longer than they're both used to. But if you look at Tom Aspinall's record, even in his loss was 15 seconds, and that was due to that knee injury. Um, so it's considered a TKO, but yeah, I mean, even his loss was 15 seconds in. But yeah, this win, 1 minute and 9 seconds into the first round. Before that, 1 minute 13, 3:45, 2:30, 1:09, 1:35, 45 seconds, 56 seconds. So if you average all that out, you're getting like 2 minutes, 2 minutes and 20 seconds or something. And then if you look at Sergey Pavlovich, you know, he had the same kind of record. All of his wins, 3 minutes, 54 seconds, 55 seconds, 4 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute. Yeah, even his loss was 4 minutes, all in the first round. So these guys are averaging like 2.5 minutes tops. And I honestly did not think it was going to go that fast. I figured, like I said, they would neutralize each other a little bit, fill each other out a little more. But they both went all in, and this was a very fast fight. Sergey Pavlovich, unfortunately, getting the loss by KO in the first round. And yeah, I mean, it was pretty impressive too. I mean, you see here, this was the beginning of the end for Pavlovich. Aspinall with that big right, and there's Pavlovich as he's going down. And then of course Aspinall jumped on top. You could see Pavlovich is a, you know, looks a little awake there, but those hammer fists are coming, and they were furious. And Aspinall gets the win and becomes the interim heavyweight champion, which of course everyone's talking about and feels like it's the undisputed championship, but he is a champ now. It may be interim. The question is, what's going to happen next? Is he gonna have to defend that belt? Maybe he defends it against Stipe, maybe against somebody else. Are they really gonna wait until Jon Jones is good to fight Stipe and hold up the division like that? Now people are saying that Stipe shouldn't even be the opponent for Jon, that they should unify the belt right away, because everyone wants to see that fight between Aspinall and Jon Jones, because I don't think Aspinall is going to be able to take Jon Jones out in the first round. It's going to be a little more drawn out than that, unless Jon takes him out in the first round. But I mean, that's what he did to Cyril Gane, but I feel like they're two totally different fighters. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. But let's move on to the main event. Another quick finish, but this one at least went to the second round. And Alex Pereira is just continues on a tear even after a loss. You know, he comes back and gets a win in the light heavyweight division. Doesn't look super impressive, so people are still doubting him. They're like, hey, you know, maybe his power didn't transfer over to the higher weight, because, you know, he was dropping all the weight and then rehydrating and bulking back up, and then, you know, because he's fighting opponents that are at a lower weight naturally than him, at least, then that's why his power was working in the lower weight class. But he quickly showed and proved that that really wasn't the case, because Jan is just a different type of fighter. He is able to, I don't know, I guess his fighting style is a little different than everyone else's, and is able to kind of hold you at bay and make it a dogfight kind of type of fight, basically. So you know, Alex couldn't get past that either. He couldn't knock out Jan, but he did get the win against Blachowicz when he fought him. Yeah, it was a split decision win even, so it was close. And then he comes out, winds up getting this opportunity to fight for the vacant light heavyweight championship against Yuri Prochazka, due to, you know, Jamal Hill being injured with that Achilles rupture that he had. So now Alex comes out and is like, I want to become a 2-division champion, even though it's not simultaneously, it still makes him a champ. You know, he's been a champion in 2 divisions, and he did just that. And I doubted him. I didn't think it was gonna come to fruition, at least not in this fight. I doubted him a bit. I was thinking Yuri is too weird of a fighter too much for Alex, because it seems like if you challenge him a little bit, he gets frustrated, you know. And Yuri landed some punches on him, and he definitely, you know, he did catch Alex here and there, more than I thought he would. But in the end, Alex Pereira comes out a champ in the second division. And Alex definitely used all of his weapons when it comes to striking. And this just goes to show how good like kickboxers are. You know, a lot of times if somebody comes in and starts wrestling them and stuff like that, which is what we thought Jan was going to do to him, it does make him seem like less of the unbeatable fighter, but he's still yet to have lost to that kind of style. He's only lost on his feet to Izzy kind of just catching him, and we saw how that ended, and it was a nasty knockout. But he's come back, and now he is a champ in a second division after only 7 fights in the UFC, and he's fought all kinds of big names. So he has a win over the current champ in the middleweight division, which isn't Izzy anymore, so that's saying something. Against Sean Strickland, he beat the hell out of him. But again, like I said, punches were thrown, punches were landed. We actually thought at some point that Alex was gonna get this choke on Yuri and wind up winning by submission of all things, after knowing him as being just that stand-up fighter, that striker, that heavy-handed striker that he is. But he did, you know, Yuri was able to get out of it and get back up to his feet, but Alex started putting those kicks on him. You know, he did beat those legs down with those leg kicks that he's known for, those sneaky hard leg kicks that he's known for. They're pretty bad. So Yuri was able to withstand those, but you know, Alex just kept coming with the heat in the hands, lands a flush left hook, and then Yuri winds up on the ground. Alex throws some hammer fists as Yuri's trying to recoup, and then he winds up just throwing crazy elbows. A lot of people were talking about the fact that this might have ended too early. But the thing, you know, even Rogan said that him and DC thought that it was an early stoppage, but Yuri said himself, even though it was right after the fight, and I'm surprised he even talked to him, he said himself that he was out and it was fair. Afterwards, I think he still said that he would have liked a little bit more time, because even in the Reyes fight, he got knocked out. He got a flash knockout due to an up kick, but he woke up and was able to come out and get that win. So he was saying that maybe if he got there goes my camera again. He was saying maybe if he got a little more time, that maybe, you know, he could have come back to like he did in that fight and wind up, you know, coming out of it with a win and getting the championship. But that's not what happened. They called the fight and it was over. Alex Pereira winds up a champion in the light heavyweight division now. So like I said, 2 division champion in 7 fights. He's becomes a part of an elite group of fighters. 9 of them total now, including Alex. You got Daniel Cormier, Conor McGregor, Henry Cejudo, GSP, John Jones, Amanda Nunes. The first one, I believe, Randy Couture, or was the first one BJ Penn? It's a good question. It might have been BJ Penn first, actually. But Randy Couture's in there, and now Alex Pereira to become 2 division champions. I mean, it's crazy, man. Especially with the amount of fights he's had. A lot of these guys, I mean, Conor is probably the closest to him as far as the least amount of fights to become someone in that with that status. So yeah, but we have pretty much all the weight divisions covered here. Henry Cejudo being the lowest couple weights. I think Conor was next with the next couple lowest. BJ Penn. Let's see, Matt Serra, GSP, and then I think it's kind of a tie. Oh, and then Alex Pereira, and then you got DC John Jones and Randy Couture all in the heavyweight and light heavyweight divisions. So yeah, that's pretty impressive, man, especially with what Alex has done in the amount of time that he's done it in. So I'm done doubting him. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if John Jones was down in the light heavyweight division still, that he'd be able to beat him. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't know anybody that can beat him right now. Jamal Hill is making a huge case for the fact that he makes easy light work of Alex Pereira. I don't doubt anything anymore. Crazy shit happens in MMA. That's why I don't bet really. But for now, I'm kind of done doubting Alex Pereira, because I doubted him too many times already, and he's proved me wrong every time. So that's it for UFC 295. I'm not sure that I even want to go into Bellator, but I will just touch on it for a second. And that's just because it's taken me so long to get to where I'm at, and I've had so many fucking problems that I don't even want to drag it out anymore. The main stuff I like to talk about anyway is UFC, but Bellator is a little bit interesting because this is Bellator 301, and we weren't sure we were even going to get this event. So, and you know, this might actually be the last official Bellator event before it gets swallowed up by PFL as a whole. Basically, the PFL is going to take over. They basically are going to purchase the company and absorb everybody, or at least most of the organization. But I want to see real quick Bellator 301. I want to see who's on the undercard, because I do believe there is a few decent fights on the undercard. But as you can tell, there's 2 title fights. The word is that this is almost a better card than Bellator 300, which Bellator 300 is pretty decent. But let's see who's down at the lower portion of the card. Let's see, notable names. I'm not seeing a whole lot here. Kerry Melendez, Gilbert Melendez's wife. He's a former UFC fighter. His wife is 5-0 in MMA right now. She's fighting Sabriya Sengal. Not sure who that is, but one of the fights on the lower card. Damn, I thought there was a little more going on down here. Tyrell Fortune versus Marcelo Gome. Tricky Pitbull versus Alexander Shibley. AJ McKee versus Sydney Outlaw. Rufián Stotts versus Danny Savatello in a rematch fight. And then you got oh yeah, there you go, Pitbull versus Shibili. Anthony Pettis versus Patchy Mix for the, I don't know, it's a title fight of some sort. I think it's bantamweight. Yeah, and then welterweight title fight is Yaroslav Amosov versus Jason Jackson. So, I mean, if you're into Bellator, this might be the last, like, official Bellator card. We're not even sure yet. They're talking about PFL kind of letting Bellator continue on as Bellator for a year or two before absorbing any of the fighters that are worth absorbing, I guess. I heard someone talking about, I think it was Ariel Anwani talking about the fact that they should do like Bellator versus PFL for belts in every division, or as like some kind of a Grand Prix or something like that. But I don't think they're gonna do that. So we'll just wait and see. The Bellator just not even fucking promoting anymore at this point. They don't even put any money into it, and that's probably why they're going away. So let's move on to UFC Vegas 82 happening this weekend. Even with F1 happening in Vegas, we still have a fight card happening Saturday. I believe it's earlier in the day though. If I remember correctly, I think it starts, yeah, 3 p.m. main card start. So it is an earlier start to the fights. And this is happening at the Apex too. So it's not like it's on the strip It's not at T-Mobile Arena, or anywhere else like that. It's at the Apex, so it's gonna be kind of a limited audience, I guess. But on the lower card, let's see who we got here. Oh man, how did I do that? And this site is just giving me problems today. Let's see. I don't even recognize a lot of them. God. I don't even recognize a lot of names here for this entire card. So I'm gonna cut out of here. Just going through it today, man. Let's see. Okay. There's so many canceled fights on every damn card all the time. Like, I don't even know why they list them, but they always list them as canceled. Trey Ogden versus Nicholas Moda. Lucy Budilova versus Aylin Perez. Let's see. God, there's not a lot of big names on the bottom of this card. Wow. Yeah, so that's a prelim card. So let's just jump right in to the main event, because this card isn't very deep. We got Uros Medic versus Miktaibek or Oralbai. I fucking, that's a tough ass name. Let me see if I can even get into the any of the stuff that I need to get into. I believe Miktaibek is making his debut, but Uros Medic was supposed to be fighting Johnny Parsons, but that fight got canceled. So now he has a new opponent, but Medic is 9-1. Or Oralbai is 11-1. So yeah, there is that one's tough. I know Medic, I've seen him fight a couple times, but nothing crazy. Let me see if I can get in here real quick so I can have some kind of reference. Thank God this is almost over. I'm like so everything giving me problems. I'm gonna like turn everything off and just leave it off for a couple days, because I don't even want to deal with just whatever craziness is happening to my entire system right now. Okay, Uros Medic, welterweight fighter, 9-1. He's on a 2-fight win streak for the moment. His only loss being against Jalen Turner by submission. All of his fights end in the first round as well. Well, no, the last one was the third round, but they're all TKO wins. His loss, he has a couple submissions in there, but his one loss is by submission. And then I don't know a lot about Oralbi, but he has 2 belts in his picture, so I know that. He's coming from LFA. A lot of TKOs and KOs on his record as well. A lot of submissions in the beginning of his career. So, you know, Medic his only loss has been by submission. So that might be a way for him to win his debut. And yeah, it looks like here this was one of his TKO wins. Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about this guy, so this one's tough, because Johnny Parsons was supposed to be the initial opponent, and that got canceled. So let's move on to the next fight. Luana Pinheiro versus Amanda Ribas. Yeah, I give up on that. Pinheiro's 11-1. Ribas is 11-4. I'm just gonna get through this, man, because my camera keeps flat. Everything that can happen is just continue. I'm surprised my mic didn't just stop working at this point. Pinheiro though, yeah, versus Amanda Hebos. Hebos has got that big win against Macy Barber. It was a pretty nasty, bloody fight, but it was a good win for her. Pinheiro has good striking as well. Man, I am trying hard here to all of my reference stuff that I had ready is gone. So I'm trying to get something to refer to because there's not a whole lot. I don't have a whole lot because everything was opened up and ready, and then all of a sudden it's gone. So I don't even know how to navigate through this. Anyway, moving on. There's nothing else I can do. Peyton Talbot versus Nick Aguirre. I'm not sure. I don't have a whole lot on Nick Aguirre either. Talbot came from Dana White's Contender Series. I know that. This stuff is killing me, man. Let's see. Talbot he's undefeated, 6-0. Aguirre is 7-1. Here is I remember this guy because this was one of the things he did, some crazy backflip to try to get out of. I don't know what was happening, or if he tried this like some kind of capoeira kick. I'm not sure, but it was something that I remembered actually. Ever notice how hard it is to type and continue to talk? Why? This is so dumb. Yeah. So anyway, Talbot versus Aguirre. Yeah, this is just fucking one of those fights, man. It's a toss-up. I'm not exactly sure. All of my stuff is gone here. Because everything's giving me problems, and I don't even want to finish this right now. I hate giving up on things, but when I have this many issues, I should have known when my mic was out after talking for like 20 minutes. That's the thing, though. I'll just keep going. I can't give too many anything because everything I had, I'm just thrown off right now. But we got Chase Hooper versus Jordan Levitt. Chase Hooper is it's pretty funny, the guy that everybody calls Ben Askren's son, long lost son, because he kind of looks like him with the curly hair. And Jordan Levitt is the crazy fucking guy who a lot of people thought was gay just because of his antics in the cage. He's pretty flamboyant. He does weird splits, and he likes to twerk on people after winning. So those are just some weird things about him. But Chase Hooper is a really good ground fighter. He's 12-3-1 overall. Jordan Levitt is 11-2. Hooper, he needs to work on his striking a little bit, but he's a real, he doesn't have a ton of power because, as you can tell, he's a pretty slim, lean guy, and not a whole lot of muscle mass on him, but he's a good ground fighter and wrestler, so he'll be leaning on that a little bit. Jordan Levitt is susceptible to the to submissions because yeah, that's how he lost to Patty Pimblett. He got wrapped up in a choke pretty fast. And, I mean, I've seen him defend pretty decent, but he has heavy hands, and he's going to be quite a bit shorter than Hooper as well. So that height difference is going to be something he's going to have to overcome. And he's going to have to watch out for that jiu-jitsu because Chase Hooper is great at jiu-jitsu, like I said. So that should be a decent fight. Here's Hooper with some ground and pound, you know. He has finished a couple fights with some ground and pound, I believe. I think maybe not. Oh damn. So Chase Hooper is 6'1", Jordan Levitt is 5'8", and Hooper has a 74-inch reach. over Jordan Levitt 71. So like I said, that height's going to be a big thing. But Jordan Levitt has this nasty KO of Matt Wyman by slam. It's like one of the few slam KOs. He didn't punch him. He didn't do anything. He just kind of picked him up and slammed him on the ground and knocked him out right here, as you can see in this picture. So Chase Hooper versus Jordan Levitt should be an interesting fight. We got Michael Morales versus Jake Matthews for the co-main. Morales is undefeated, 15-0 versus Jake Matthews, 19-6. Let's see, this is happening at welterweight. Looks like Morales has a 79-inch reach over Jake Matthews, 73. So, I mean, Morales, the last time I saw Morales, it was a damn impressive showing for him. So, but Jake Matthews is a beast as well, on the feet, heavy hands. This could be a banger for a co-main event for sure. We'll see if Michael Morales has what it takes to keep that undefeated record over a tough opponent like Jake Matthews. So that leads us to the main event. Brendan Allen versus Paul Craig. Yeah, this one, I've been hearing a bunch of interviews with Brendan Allen, and he sounds like a cool dude. He had his daughter with him on a couple of his interviews. I didn't know a whole lot about him, like not personally, but you know what I mean? Like, aside from just the fights I had seen of his. I hate his hair. That's one thing for sure. He's got a tough matchup against Paul Craig. But Brendan Allen, 22-5. Paul Craig, 17-6. They're pretty even on everything. Craig has a 1-inch reach of advantage. That's about it. But he is the older guy. But they both have a good mix of striking and submission game. I mean, both of them have a lot of submission wins. But you know, they mix in the striking pretty decent as well. They both have pretty decent hands. Brendan Allen with the rear naked choke here, as well as another choke while flexing, which is pretty funny. Oh no, that's not even him flexing. Is it? Oh, it's tough. No, it's not him. It looks like he's flexing though. I just saw that. I thought that's what I was looking at. But Paul Craig is one of those guys that you got to watch out for. He has really good striking, but he can also submit you. And, you know, he's kind of one of those up and down fighters as well. You never know what you're going to get out of Paul Craig, but he's an exciting fighter. That's for damn sure. There's some big ground and pound from him. And then you move into the submissions. So both these guys are good on the feet, good on the ground. Should make for a good main event. And yeah, after this, there will be a 1 week break from the UFC again, because it'll be the what do you call it? Thanksgiving weekend. And I might just take a fucking break. After the way today went, I might just have to take that break. Enjoy these fights. They'll be on Saturday, a little bit earlier than usual. 3 p.m. start for the main card. Happening Saturday, ESPN Plus. Check it out. I apologize for all of them in everything. I appreciate anybody that's stuck in there listening to this. If you're listening later, I'm sorry for all of the technical difficulties. I hope to have all this sorted out. I get this new setup and it's been nothing but a headache. You know, the watch party went off fairly decent, considering I didn't have too much of a problem after the beginning. So it's a work in progress. I can't give up. I have to keep going. I'm just frustrated. These things happen. I don't know. I'm not a professional of any sort. I do this. I'm self-taught with some help from Tommy for the most part. And you know, he has a different setup than I do overall, and he works off of a Mac. So a lot of this is kind of trial and error for me. And I've been doing this for like a year now, but the setup has changed. Things always change. I'm trying to add to it. trying to make things better. In the process, you got to deal with technical issues, I guess. So, uh, as frustrating as it is for me, I won't give up. I'll just keep going. I can't give up. I put too much money into this stuff, but I like doing it too. I just hate nights like this. It really just gets me. It gets me to the point where, you know, I don't know. Things have just been frustrating lately, and it's out of my control. This one can be a little more in my control. I just have to make the time for it. So I'm gonna have to just uh give up some time in other places so that I can master everything here. So I stop having these problems. I know that there'll always be technical issues, but when it gets to this point, it's super frustrating, and I all I can do is try a little harder and hope for the best. And I need to start making checklists and stuff for myself to make sure that things are working 100% always. Uh, you know, I have a few different things that tell me levels of audio, and unfortunately, I was looking at the wrong one, which is why my audio is working. Uh, it is what it is. I can't do anything about it now, but I got through it. Um, Thanks to my wife and my pops for, letting me know the problems that I was having. And hopefully this isn't too horrible, but it's been rough. So for now, I'm gonna say bye. There is some let's see, next weekend I believe PFL is coming back. Uh as far as I know, that's it. That's happening next weekend. I'm serious. I might just say right now that I will probably not have a show next week. I'm gonna work on getting all this stuff sorted out. I'm gonna work on getting it all complete and just solid so that I don't keep having these issues. So if you don't see me on next week, I apologize. I'm just gonna take a week off to sort my shit out and get it better so I stop having these problems and stop having to talk about it too. But I like to be straightforward and honest, and I have to figure out my issues with my camera. Otherwise, I'm gonna go back to my other camera and till I can figure it out. And then I gotta work out these audio issues so I stop being surprised by all of it. But thanks for hanging in there with me. I hope I didn't bore you to death with all my problems. Come back. Hopefully, who knows? If I get everything worked out beforehand, I might just have a show next week. But if not, join me back the week after. 1 week off, no big deal. Don't give up on me. Come back and check out the show and see what we got going on. I'll go over any of the PFL stuff that happened and any other combat sports news that happened throughout the holiday. If I'm not here next week, have a good Thanksgiving. I appreciate all the support and for hanging in there with me, and I will be back, hopefully better. So have a good Thanksgiving. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the fights. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell and follow all my social media. Till next time, hopefully better. I'm out. Peace.